بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. I remind you to have a sincere intention in your heart by attending the lesson, seeking reward from Allah Ta'ala. Is the sound clear to everyone? Are you? Okay, alhamdulillah. Okay. The scholar said it is important for the seeker of knowledge to be present, attending the lesson with his body and heart. So not just to be present, listening to a lesson physically and not really attentively, because somebody might misunderstand a matter and he might leave the session thinking that the rule is so and so, when in reality it is not like that. Therefore, it is very important for the learner, the seeker of knowledge, to attend the lesson by being present and also with his heart, attentive with his heart, not being distracted with worldly matters or thinking about what one wants to do later on. No, but rather really completely attentive in order to understand. We are talking now about very important matters, matters pertaining to fundamentals of the belief. So when we have finished covering in brief the meaning of the two justifications of faith, then we started yesterday by defining apostasy, called ridda in Arabic, and then we said that the scholars classified apostasy into three categories. We said apostasy interrupts the belief. Okay, so if a person was a Muslim and then he committed apostasy, it interrupts his belief. He would no longer be a believer. So this person would then have to embrace the religion of Islam by saying the two shahada. And this is very important to know. And therefore, the scholars authored many books and gave examples of apostasy. Because if the person, they said, if the person does not know evil, he or she might fall into it. And a person might commit apostasy and not know that he committed it. And he thinks that he is a Muslim when in reality he is not. So therefore it is important to know what is apostasy, what are the categories of it, and what are examples of it. And we said a hadith of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam yesterday, in which the Prophet alayhi salam himself said that there are people who utter words they deem as harmless. They do not think that these expressions are sinful, let alone kufr, blasphemy. Yet the Prophet alayhi salam said that despite that, because what they said is kufr, blasphemy, despite them deeming these expressions as harmless, despite that, this leads them into the depth of hellfire, the falling of 70 years down into hellfire. And we said this is the bottom of hellfire, which only the non-Muslims reach. So this is proof from the Prophet alayhi salam that a person might say an expression that he thinks is harmless, yet despite that, he falls the depth of 70 years into hellfire. So from this hadith of the Prophet alayhi salam, we know then that saying, but I did not know the judgment in matters, in particular matters in the belief, is not an excuse. There are matters where the person is not excused by saying, but I did not know. And we mentioned some of these examples yesterday. We said that apostasy is divided into three categories: apostate beliefs in the heart, apostate sayings, meaning said with the tongue, and apostate actions committed by different parts of the body. We started by giving examples of the first category, which is apostate beliefs. And we said among this category is renouncing any of the 13 attributes of Allah, which the scholars said are obligatory upon the accountable person to know. So if a person renounces, negates any of these 13 attributes, he would not be a Muslim. And what pertains to these 13 attributes, saying, I did not know, is not an excuse. I'll give you an example. If a person said the two shahada to embrace Islam yesterday, but he found out that he does not believe that Allah Ta'ala is attributed with will. He did not believe that. This means he is not a Muslim. He has to now say the two shahada to embrace the religion of Islam. So in what pertains to these 13 attributes of Allah, nobody is excused. Saying, I did not know, I did not hear that, the person is not excused by that. The scholars said the mind leads to knowing that Allah is attributed with these 13 attributes. Okay, so therefore it is very important to know them and to teach them to others. Then we also said if a person attributes to Allah any attribute of the creation, he commits kufr by that, because Allah is clear from resembling the creation. God is not attributed with any of the attributes of the creation. So whatever is among the attributes of the creation, whatever that is, being in a place, having a shape, having a size, having body parts, all of these are attributes of the creation. If a person attributes to God any of the attributes of the creation, this person commits kufr, blasphemy by that. And he is not excused by saying, but I did not know. If a person attributes to Allah a body, saying, but I did not know, does not benefit him. He has to say the two shahada to embrace Islam. Okay? So, brother, you asked the question, if a person embraces Islam, what is the first thing we teach the person? We teach them the meaning of the two shahada. We start with the creed, with the knowledge of the creed, with the knowledge of Tawheed. We start by teaching the meaning of the two testifications of faith. Okay? So, then we said denouncing any of the 13 attributes of Allah is an example of apostasy. And now you know what is meant by that. When I say it's an example of apostasy, it means it is kufr. Okay? And attributing to Allah what does not befit to be attributed to Him, meaning all the attributes of the creation, they do not befit to be attributed to Allah. So attributing to God any attribute of the creation is apostasy, is kufr. Okay? So the person would have to say the two shahada to embrace the religion of Islam. Now, there are matters where the person learns them by hearing. Okay? The scholar said the mind does not lead to that. The person has to know that through hearing. So, among the examples of apostate beliefs is legitimating what is unlawful by consensus. I'm going to mention now some conditions, okay? Because it's very important to know these conditions. So they said legitimating what is unlawful by consensus, by ijma, okay? By consensus. And commonly known among the Muslims to be unlawful, okay? It is commonly known among Muslims to be unlawful, all right? And this person knew that. This person knew that this thing is unlawful. Yet despite that, he believes that it is lawful, he commits apostasy by that. See how it is? He knows that it is unlawful. He knows that it is sinful, haram. And this matter is commonly known to be unlawful among Muslims. It's commonly known. The scholar and the lay people know that. And there's a consensus upon this matter. Yet this person wants to be stubborn and wants to believe that it is lawful. He commits apostasy by that. An example is if he wants to deem fornication, zina, as lawful. He would commit apostasy by that, because zina, there is a consensus among the Muslim mujtahids that it is sinful. It is an enormous sin. And it is commonly known among Muslims to be unlawful. And this person knows that it is unlawful, yet he wants to be stubborn and still believe and deem it as lawful. He becomes a non-Muslim by that. Okay? Another example is to deem unlawful what is commonly known to be lawful. So here we have the opposite case. Okay? Something is known that it is lawful, that it is halal to do. It is commonly known that it is halal, lawful to do. And this person knows that. Yet, despite that, he wants to deem it as unlawful. He commits apostasy by that. An example of this, we know, it is commonly known that marriage in Islam is lawful. Selling and buying, when it is the lawful selling, it is lawful. Yet if a person wants to say or believe that no, it is unlawful, despite him knowing of it being lawful, he commits apostasy by that. Another example of apostate beliefs is renouncing the obligation of matters which are by consensus and commonly recognized among the Muslims to be obligatory. Okay, so again, there's a consensus that this matter is an obligation, and it's commonly known among Muslims to be an obligation. And the person knows that, despite that, he wants to renounce that. He wants to say it is not an obligation. Like what? Like the 5 prayers. It is known that there are 5 obligatory prayers in Islam. So if a person says that no, these 5 prayers are not obligatory, he commits apostasy. Or he denounces the obligation of zakah, or of fasting, or of performing pilgrimage, hajj. He commits apostasy by that, because these matters are known among Muslims, are commonly known to be obligatory, and there's a consensus of them being obligatory. Okay? Likewise, deeming obligatory the matters which are known not to be obligatory by consensus. So here again, we have the opposite case. Something is not obligatory, but a person wants to deem it as obligatory. Another example is if a person intends to commit kufr in the future, he becomes a kafir right away, because the Muslim, the believer, in his heart, he is firm that he wants to remain on Islam. He does not want to leave Islam. He wants to die as a believer. So hesitating whether to commit kufr or not, the person becomes a kafir right away. And intending to commit kufr in the future, the person becomes a kafir right away by him intending to commit kufr in the future. So in this regard then, intending to commit kufr or hesitating whether or not to commit kufr, the person becomes a kafir right away. Or making it contingent upon the occurrence of a matter. For example, if a person says, if I lose all my money, or if my children die. If he says, if I lose all my money, or if my children die, I will commit kufr, he becomes kafir right away, even if he does not lose his money, and even if his children do not die while he's alive. But by him having this intention, he becomes a kafir right away, okay? So, because the Muslim has the firm belief in his heart that he wants to remain a Muslim. He wants to stay having the belief of Islam until death. He does not want to leave it, no matter what. He does not doubt. So if a person tells him, if I give you such and such amount of money, would you change from Islam to another belief? The Muslim has no hesitation. Right away, the answer is no, no way. No way. Not for all the money in the world would I leave Islam. Okay, so the Muslim then has the firm belief that he wants to remain on Islam. This is different than hesitating to commit a sin that does not reach the level of kufr. Okay, hesitating whether to commit a sin that does not reach the level of kufr is not what we are talking about right now. So, also among the apostate beliefs is to deny the companionship of our master Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Why is that? The scholars said because it is mentioned in the Quran that he is a companion of the Prophet. And so the person who says that he is not, he would be belying the Quran. Okay, because there's a verse in the Quran that mentions that he is a companion of the Prophet. And the scholar said that the companion meant in this verse is Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. And by the way, Abu Bakr is the highest ranking companion. So among all the companions, Imam Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu is the highest ranking of all the companions of the Prophet. If they learn, they know that, if they know that. To deny the message of any of the prophets whom it is commonly known that they are prophets, okay? Such as Prophet Musa, Prophet Isa. So I will repeat it. To deny the prophethood of whomever is recognized by consensus among Muslims as a messenger or a prophet, okay? Such as Prophet Adam, Prophet Musa, Prophet Isa, alayhim salam, and of course Prophet Muhammad, alayhi salam. So if a person denies the prophethood of any of these prophets, he becomes a non-Muslim by that. And of course, the person has to have heard, he heard that these are prophets. And still, despite that, he denies that, then he becomes a kafir by that. Also, among the apostate beliefs is to reject a letter of the Quran, which is confirmed to be part of the Quran by consensus. So rejecting it while knowing that it is a letter. We're not talking about a person who forgot. He is reciting Quran and he made a mistake. He forgot. And so he recited the verse without this letter. We're not talking about this. We're talking about the case where the person knows that this letter is part of the verse. Yet despite that, he rejects that letter and claims that it is not part of it. In this case, he commits kufr, okay? Or if he wants to add a letter while knowing that this addition is not part of the Quran, it's not part of the verse, yet despite that, he wants to add it and he wants to say, no, it is part of it, while knowing that it is not. Here again, then this is apostasy. So also among the apostate beliefs is to belie a messenger, or to demean him, to belittle a messenger, or to use a diminutive form of his name with the purpose of degrading the messenger. Okay, so to belie a messenger or to belittle a messenger, or to use a diminutive form of his name with the purpose of belittling this messenger. In this case, it is kufr. I want you please to pay close attention to the conditions that I'm stating. All right, so I'm saying here, he is giving him a diminutive name with the purpose of belittling, degrading the prophet. All right. Also among the apostate beliefs is to believe in the possibility of prophethood of someone after our Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, because it is known that Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam is the last of all the messengers. He is the last of all the prophets. There is no other person who will receive revelation who did not receive revelation before Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam. So these were then some examples now. Notice when I was talking about the attributes of Allah, and when I mentioned about attributing to Allah what does not befit to be attributed to him, in that case, I said, even if the person did not hear, so nobody is excused in that. Even if the person said the two shahada to embrace Islam yesterday, but he denied any of the attributes, the 13 attributes of Allah, he is not a Muslim. He would have to now say that shahada to become a Muslim. Likewise, if a person attributes to Allah what does not befit to be attributed to him, meaning any attribute of the creation. As to matters that are acquired through hearing, here we gave the condition if the person heard, he knows the judgment, and despite that, he is stubborn and contradicting it. Like if a person learned that in Islam, there are 5 obligatory prayers, and despite that, despite having heard that, he wants to contradict it. In this case, he commits kufr. Okay? So it's very important to know when there is such a condition and when not. Now, inshallah ta'ala, we will give examples of the second category of apostasy, which is apostate actions. This is such as what? Apostate actions such as prostrating to an idol, or prostrating to the sun, or to the moon, or to a human out of worship. If a person prostrates to an idol, he commits kufr by that. Even if this person says, but I did not mean to worship this idol. This act of prostrating to an idol is done by non-believers. So even if he says, but I did not intend to worship this idol, he still commits kufr by that. Likewise, prostrating to the sun or to the moon, he commits kufr by that. And we do not ask this person, what did you intend by you prostrating to this idol? No, this act is done by non-believers. So if a person does that, this is kufr. Now, as to prostrating to a human, if it is done out of worship, then it is kufr. All right? Prostrating to a human, if done out of worship, then it is kufr. In the rules revealed to Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam, prostrating to a human out of respect is not allowed. Okay? In the laws revealed to our beloved Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. But there were laws revealed to the prophets before Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, where it was allowed to prostrate to a human, of course, not out of worship, okay? Not out of worship. But in the laws revealed to Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam, it is not allowed. You know that Allah Ta'ala ordered the angels to prostrate to Prophet Adam alayhi salam. And of course, this was not out of worshipping Prophet Adam. No, the angels worship Allah. Also among this category, which is apostate actions, is like stepping on the book of the Quran when the person knows that this is the book of the Quran, or sitting on it, or throwing the book of the Quran in the trash, or throwing a piece of paper that has a verse of the Quran written on it in the trash, or stepping on it or sitting on it, or stepping on a paper that has the name Allah written on it. This is also an apostate action, okay? If the person knows what is written on it, okay? We're not talking about the person who did not know what was on the paper. No, we're saying if the person knows what was written on it. Subhanallah, some people are very careless in such matters where we've heard of cases where people work in a place where they print books of the Quran, and a person there who wants to put them on a higher place, and in order to reach that higher place, billah, he did something which is kufr. He stacked the other books of the Quran, he stepped on them to reach the higher shelf. Subhanallah, this is carelessness, and he knows that these are the books of the Quran, and he's stepping on them to reach the higher level to put the book on it. So what he did is a kufr action, stepping on the book of the Quran. Subhanallah. Okay, inshallah ta'ala, tomorrow we will talk about the third category, which is apostate sayings. And keep in mind, what we mentioned here are just examples. So there are other ones, but we mentioned some examples so that you are aware what they are, and of course the person avoids them. And Allah Ta'ala knows best. Inshallah, we will continue with these lessons, the obligatory knowledge of the religion. And this obligatory knowledge of the religion encompasses not just the meaning of these of the two testification of faith, but the obligatory knowledge of the religion encompasses also matters of purification, of prayer, of fasting, of zakah, of different kinds of dealings, of beliefs of the heart, obligations of the heart, sins of the heart, sins of the eye, and other organs of the body. So inshallah ta'ala, after Ramadan, we will continue.